Vincinku here again, and in this special episode of OOT Speedruns 101, we'll be looking at a specific glitch process known as RBA. RBA stands for Reverse Bottle Adventure and involves using a bottle on your B button to write specific values into the game's memory. To understand how this works, first we're going to take a look at how bottles normally work in the game. When we empty or catch something in our bottle, the game needs to update our inventory. The game remembers which inventory slot to update due to an offset that it stores when we equip items to a C button. For most items, the offset is only used to place the white boxes on our inventory screen, but because bottles can be in 4 different slots, the game needs to know where to update the bottle. This offset is stored 3 memory spaces away from the address of the C buttons. This means that if we catch bugs on C right, the game looks at the value 3 addresses after C right to know where in the inventory to put the bugs. The same applies to C down and C left. But if we update a bottle on B, the game still only looks 3 addresses to the right, which ends up looking at the values stored in C right's address. Because the item list is much larger than the inventory, this allows us to store values in the addresses after the inventory. To get a bottle on our B button, we need to have something other than our sword on it first. The easiest items to get on our B button are the fishing rod and Deku sticks. Once we have an odd B button, there are a few ways we can turn it into a bottle. If you plan on using Deku sticks on B as adult, and you're playing on N64 or emulator, make sure you have 0 Deku sticks before trying this or your game will crash. With 0 Deku sticks, we can get a bottle on B using 3 different methods. The first method is to try and play our Deku sticks using the Ocarina items glitch. Because we have 0 sticks and cannot pull anything out to use as an ocarina, the game will instead drop the contents of our bottle and write it to the B button. This method can dupe a bottle over any item that Link does not, or cannot in this case, hold in his hand. The second way is to attempt to catch something in a bottle and tap B on the first frame that the bottle is visible. This works because the game still allows inputs on this frame, and normally using an item would interrupt the bottle swing. But because we have 0 Deku sticks, the game only plays the error sound and does not interrupt the animation. The game also sees that the last button pressed was B, so it puts the new bottle there. This method can dupe bottles over any item that produces an error noise when you try to use it. The last method sort of combines the other two. We need to get an empty bottle in Link's hand by swinging a bottle and interrupting the swing by holding R. Link will be in a crouch stab position with an empty bottle in his hand. While still crouched, press the B button to register it as our last button pressed. Then hold ZR and the button for the empty bottle so that Link stands up while still shielding. When you let go of R, Link will swing the bottle, and if you catch something, it'll write the contents to B. This method can dupe bottles over any item that Link does not or cannot pull out while in a crouch stab position. This is the only method to turn the fishing rod into a bottle. When you first get a bottle on B, the RBA glitch occurs, so you'll want to be careful or strategic about what item you have on C right at the time. Because the game looks at the value of the item on C right as a position instead of an item, we can use RBA to write bottles into our inventory. There are 24 inventory slots numbered 0 through 23. By putting an item on C right, we can use its item number to determine where in memory the game will write our bottle. For example, if we put the bow, item number 3, onto C right and RBA it, the game will write the updated bottle into inventory slot number 3. Once the inventory starts to have more than one item that can be in a given slot, such as the ocarina or the hookshot, the item numbers start to become larger than the respective inventory slots. This means that if we RBA the Longshot, item number 11, the game will write our bottle into inventory slot number 11. Which is where Ferore's Wind is supposed to go. Knowing this, we can now look at this chart that I showed earlier and see that the items on the left side of the black arrow are what we equip to see right, and the items on the right side are which inventory slot is overwritten. But what happens when we equip an item that has a value higher than 23? Well, that's when we start to write values outside of the inventory and where things get a bit more interesting. In the game's memory, right after the inventory, it stores the values for the amount of ammo that we have for our items. The code for finding the ammo is programmed similar to how the bottles are updated, where the game only has to add 24 to the address of the item slot to find the ammo. This is why there are silly unused values like fire arrow or boomerang amount. The magic bean popularity is how many times you've purchased magic beans. If this value is higher than 9, the bean salesman won't sell any more beans. Do note that bugs, item number 29, point to Din's fire amount, which is unused. This means that if you want to change the contents of your B bottle without overriding something important, you can put bugs on C-Write and have no worries. When we RBA to change the amount of ammo we have for an item, we can see the item value of our updated bottle. When we RBA a fish, we can see that an empty bottle will give us 20 Deku Nuts, and that a bottle of bugs will give us 29. Continuing further into the memory, we make it past addresses related to our inventory and move over into our equipment screen, where we can edit our tunics, boots, swords, and shields. When we get to the equipment, we see that there are many items stored in one address. We can also see that most items have only one number that correspond to them, and this number can only be a 1 or a 0, on or off, yes or no. Do you have the Goron tunic? Do you not have the Goron tunic? This is when the binary value of our bottles start to matter. RBAing the Goron mask with an empty bottle will write the numbers 0001, 0100 to our tunics and boots. Looking at the two numbers that are 1, we can see that the Kokiri boots and the Zora tunic are on and that everything else is off. And that's exactly what we'll see in our inventory. When we look at the address for swords and shields, we may notice that the Big Goron sword has two numbers assigned to it. The number on the right is a flag for whether or not we have the sword, and the other is whether or not it is broken. Note that the flag that tells us if we have the Big Goron sword or just the Giant's knife is stored somewhere else in memory and cannot be altered with RBA. RBAing the Zora mask with the fish will write the numbers 0001, 1001 to our swords and shields. Looking at the numbers that are 1, we can see that the Deku shield, Kokiri sword, and the flag for broken for the Big Goron sword are on. When we have the broken flag for the Big Goron sword, but not the sword itself, we cannot highlight it in our equipment screen. The addresses that the game looks at when RBAing the Gerudo mask, Mask of Truth, and Sold Out are unused. The next items on the list are the adult trade items. These three point to the rest of our equipment, such as Deku Stick capacity and our dive meter. Notice that the bullet bag and strength upgrade are each shared between two addresses. This is important if you want to get weird colored gauntlets. Because there are different upgrades that can go in each equipment slot, the game can no longer check a single number to see if we have something or not. Instead, the game needs to check a set of numbers to see what is in that slot. All of the equipment slots except the wallet use 3 numbers, but in glitchless gameplay, the number on the left of the 3 will always be 0. Here's a chart I made to show all of the different items we can have in each equipment slot, what they do, and the value we need in their number set to get them. You can see that all of the normal upgrades are in the first 3 rows. I left the numbers 000 off of the chart because this just means that the slot is at its default state, like when we start a new game. Items marked in red can only be obtained by using cheats, like Action Replay. Let's take a look at what happens if we RBA each of the trade items with bugs. First, we RBA the Pocket Egg. For Deku Nuts capacity, we get the numbers 001, so 20 Deku Nuts. For the Deku Sticks, we get 110, which isn't a normal upgrade, but allows us to hold 30 Deku Sticks. For the bullet bag, we're only writing to one of its 3 numbers. Writing a 1 to this number will give us one of these 4 upgrades, depending on the other 2 numbers in the next address. Next we RBA the pocket cuckoo. We write 00 to the last 2 numbers for the bullet bag, and now we know that the 3 numbers are 100, which is the 30 quiver. This upgrade cannot hold any Deku seeds. In the wallet slots 2 numbers, we're writing 01, which is the adult's wallet. As for the scale, we're writing 110. This gives us a weird upgrade and puts Deku seeds in our dive slot. Weird upgrades in the dive slot will reduce your dive meter to 1. Lastly, we write a 1 into the first number of the strength upgrade. This gives us one of these 4 upgrades, depending on the other 2 numbers in the next address. Finally, we RBA Kojiro. We write 00 to the last 2 numbers for the strength upgrade, and now we know that the 3 numbers are 100, which is the silver scale. This upgrade gives us the black gauntlets. All of the odd-colored gauntlets have the same power as the golden gauntlets. We write 011 in the number for our bomb bag, which gives us bomb bag 40. And lastly, for our quiver is 101, which puts a bomb bag 30 into the quiver slot. This upgrade can hold 20 arrows. Let's see how this looks in-game as we RBA each item. The Deku Nut and Deku Stick capacities aren't visible anywhere in the menu, but we can see that there is now a quiver in our bullet bag slot. The number was 000 and we only changed the first to a 1. With the pocket cuckoo, we can see right away that our wallet is bigger, and when we catch the bugs we'll have the black gauntlets. In the menu, we'll see our Deku Seed dive meter and the silver scale in our strength upgrade slot. Just like with the bullet bag, the number for the strength upgrade was 000 and we only changed the first to a 1. With Kojiro, we can see our bomb bag 40 and the bomb bag 30 in our quiver slot. The next adult trade items that we can RBA make the game look at the addresses in our quest menu, and the best part is that they go back to the single number per item. We either have it or we don't. The only thing we need to know about RBAing the odd mushroom is that the result will always be that we have 1 out of 4 heart pieces. It does not matter which bottle is used. As you may have noticed by now, the first 4 numbers in the binary value of our bottles is always the same, 0001. This means that when we RBA an item like the odd potion, we will never have the Stone of Agony, the Gerudo's card, or have our Skulltula shown on the quest menu. You can, however, RBA and then afterward collect these items if you need them. This also means that if we RBA the odd potion, we will always have the Zora's Sapphire. As a quick example, I'll RBA the Broken Goron Sword with bugs. The last set of equipable items points to addresses that store some dungeon information, specifically the dungeon map, compass, and big key. If we RBA these items with bugs, we will obtain the dungeon map and big key, even in dungeons that don't normally have a big key, like the Deku Tree. For example, RBAing the eyeball frog with bugs will give us the map and key for Dodongo's Cavern. An odd side effect of RBAing Kojiro for a bomb bag is that if we try to obtain the bomb bag 20 from Dodongo's Cavern, the game will put a bomb bag 20 in our inventory, over the bomb 2 slot. RBAing the bomb bag 20 will alter the number of small keys that we have for the water temple, the same way it does for our ammo. Now we've learned all of the items that we can RBA and what changes when we write bottles to the addresses that their item value points to. The only thing left to know is how to half milk RBA. We know that we can catch items like bugs, fish, and blue fire in our bottle, but how do we catch half milk? The quick answer is that we don't catch it, we empty it. The way the game updates when emptying a bottle is that it checks the inventory slot that it's updating to see if there is a full milk there. If it is, the game writes a half milk to the inventory and to the bottle that was emptied. If we try to RBA Nehru's Love with an empty bottle by dumping the contents of our B bottle, the game wants to write the new bottle to our inventory slot for our second bottle. If we have a full milk in the second bottle slot, the game will see it and write a half milk bottle to that slot and to our B button. This process works when updating any address as long as the game sees a value for the full milk. Having 26 Deku Nuts and RBAing a fish with an empty bottle will cause the game to write 31 to our Deku Nut amount and to our B button. Using this in a clever manner, we can half-milk RBA things like Kojiro, the Poacher Saw, and Broken Goron Sword. Having the 40 Quiver, 40 Bomb Bag, and 00 in Kojiro Strength upgrade numbers, we can half-milk RBA Kojiro and write a weird upgrade to our Quiver slot. Links to the charts that I showed throughout the video can be found in the description, as well as links to other helpful resources for you to learn how to speedrun OOT. If you need more of a text-based explanation, you can find everything that I just explained on zeldaspeedruns.com in the RBA section.